Hi there, weaving friends. Well, those of you that looked at my last video, which was the real short one, about 4.5 minutes, something like that, where I asked, what project should I do next? The consensus, I guess is the best way to put it, is that I should be doing my Inkle Loom project next. So here I am sitting at the table loom. Why? Well, because it's a good place to sit. The Inkle Loom is sitting right down that way. I just have to aim the camera down to show it to you. And that is what I'm going to be doing. In fact, I've already done a little bit of weaving on that last evening. Too dark to show you anything from that. In this video, I'm going to show you some of this Inkle Loom weaving. What you are not going to see is me putting the warp on the Inkle Loom. Because honestly, I did that a couple of months ago at Heritage Hill. And the loom has just sat here until a couple of days ago when I decided, gee, that'd be a good thing to work on. So I'm going to move the camera, aim it down at the Inkle Loom, show you a little bit about it, and then start doing some weaving. Okay, gang, here I am at the Inkle Loom. Like I said, it's been warped for a couple of months. What I'm going to do is kind of turn it a little bit sideways so you can get a slightly different look at it. Hopefully this shows up decently. With an Inkle Loom, it's a continuous warp. So the weaving area is right here. You can see that well, maybe you can't, but my fingers are in between the two layers of warp in the shed. It is woven right to this point. This area is woven, this area is unwoven warp. But the path of the warp goes around this front dowel, which is movable, so I can adjust the tension. It goes down this way, goes underneath this dowel, all the way around the back to that dowel, comes up this way, around this dowel, up to here, around this dowel, around here, around the back of this dowel, and then the path splits. Half of the warp threads go up over the top of this dowel here, come down, and are held in place by these heddles. The other half of the warp goes around this back dowel again, but it comes down this way. And that half of the warp can be moved up and down. So right now it's in this position, and if I were to take my shuttle and go through, I would be going through right here, in between those two layers, down to where this is. I gotta set it down a second. I'm gonna take this bottom layer and I'm gonna lift it up. And I usually use a stick in here, but I'm not going to this time. Now this movable layer has moved from down here where my hand is up to here, and it is above that other layer of warp, so I have an opening there that I can go through, which is where the shuttle is right now. And all I do is move this layer up and down, whereas this layer that goes across the top stays in one place. That gives me two different sheds to work with, and then I can do plain weave. Okay, so I have moved, well, the camera's in about the same place, but I've zoomed in a little bit. So let's take a look at some actual weaving. And I've got this little wooden stick which is pointed at the end. I believe that most people who do inkle weaving do not use a stick like this. I do. I think it helps me. So that's going to go in between the warp threads, the two layers. So I got to get the right side. right layer that goes in between, and I just put it there like that. And basically what it's doing is holding the shed open so I can go through. So we'll go through with the weft like that. I use this to beat, to put them together. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to raise up that movable warp layer from the bottom to the top. Turn this up, go through again. Beat, push the warp, the movable layer down, set that up. So I don't know if this will show real well, but here's that piece of wood, and here's the opening in the shed. This piece of wood with the point on it is basically holding the shed open for me. So I don't have to do that with one hand whilst I'm pushing the shuttle through with the other. I just find it more convenient. So set that down, pull the bottom layer to the top, set that up, and go through again. So now I'm just going to weave a couple times back and forth so you get the idea of how I'm doing this. There's no real magic in this. Inkle weaving is the very first kind of weaving I ever learned how to do. Back in, must have been about the early 1990s, while I was at a reenactment at Heritage Hill. I went up to their little gift shop at the top of the hill, and they had a few books for sale, and one of them was on inkle weaving, and I bought it. It looked like something I could do. Built my first inkle loom based on plans from that book. Whoops, don't drop things. This is not that inkle loom. I've still got that one. This is a shot inkle loom that I picked up at a rummage sale. In fact, it was very cheap. The guy running the rummage sale gave it to me because I knew what it was. It was sitting out in his yard. It had been out in the yard for a couple of weeks. It had been rained on. It looked terrible. And I asked him about it, and he said, I asked him about the inkle loom. He said, "What's that?" So I showed him what I was talking about, and said, and it was in bad shape. So he said, if you know what it is, you know how to use it, you can just take it. So I did. And then I sanded it off and cleaned it up. And it's a good little inkle loom. And the price was very right. So that's the story of where I got this particular loom. I don't know how much more, if at all, I can zoom in the camera, but I'm going to try. No, that's as far in as you can go. Without my removing the tripod and resetting the camera location and all that stuff. But I don't think I want you much closer in this anyways. It'd take up too much of the screen. Hopefully you can understand what I'm doing with this real simple weave. Inkle weaving produces what's called a warp-faced weave. One thing I like to do is I like to make my very edge threads of whatever I'm weaving be the same thread as I'm using for weft. That way you don't see the weft at the edge as if it were a different color. And then I can have all the others threads be different colors. And you don't see the weft at all because the warp is so tightly packed together that the weft becomes effectively invisible. So there we are. I'm going to turn the camera off and keep weaving off camera, and I'll show you more when I get much closer to the end of this. Well, I pulled it forward to the Loom part is right here, and time to pull it forward again. So let's loosen it up. Pull forward. Push those in again. I just used this stick to help me reach the back. So you notice that this is where the beginning of the actual weaving is. And that's about all the farther forward I can pull it too, because, let's tighten this up. I need to be able to raise and lower this set and need to work it through because obviously half of the warp threads go over here and half go under. So I just need a working space here. We'll put this in, and I'm going to do a little bit more weaving until I get up to about here, a couple inches. And then it's going to be time to cut this off. So you can watch me weave just a couple of picks here. Then we'll turn the camera off again just for a few minutes until it's time to cut this off. And I'll bring you back at that point. Well, folks, I'm getting very close to done. I might get just a couple more picks of weft through here. Okay, I think this is going to be the last one. Whoops. Can you see this bottom layer going out there? It only goes up to there at that point. There's just not enough to work with here anymore in this little area of the shed to do a decent job of weaving anymore. So we're going to go through one more time. That'll be the last one. Now comes the fun part. I go about halfway between the two ends, so that looks like right about here, and cut it off. There we are. Then we'll pull this end out of the heddles. By the way, I save and reuse these heddles. They've been kicking around for a number of years. Every once in a while, one of them gets worn out and breaks, and I make a few new ones. So this is going to get saved and go into a little bag that I have for my extra heddles. For the moment, we'll just take them off of there. And there's the end piece. Now, it's not done yet. I need to go into the sewing room and sew some little strips across it so that it doesn't unravel when I cut it into about 6-inch chunks to make bookmarks out of this. That's the next step in the process. Okay, folks, we're at the sewing machine. Whoops, let's move this to where you can see it. Here's the thing I just took off, the Inkle Loom. I'm going to start by picking a stitch. What do I want to do? Let's do a sort of a zigzag. Stitch number 15. That's a zigzag. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the edge here, do backwards just a little bit, then go forward, then go backwards, just to make sure it's pretty well locked in. And so let's see. We'll put the presser foot down. We'll put the reverse direction on for just a couple of threads. Put it forward. I think I want smaller zigzags. I know you can't see the buttons I'm pushing on the front to get it smaller, but okay. So put it in reverse again, and fix 1, 2, 3, cut the thread. That's the first one. Now with this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a few of these fringes on, just an inch or so. And throw these threads away. So we'll grab out the handy dandy piece of tailor's chalk and make a note about, or make a mark about 6 inches up. I put a ruler on here, it's a 6-inch ruler. That's about where I want thread. So we'll put this under. Now I'm going to do 2 sets of zigzags. One that'll be on this piece, one that'll be on this piece, and then I'm going to cut in between them, and then this will be the bookmark. So let's go into reverse. Go into forward. Go into reverse. Fix. 1, 2, 3. Cut. That's cut off. We'll go through and do the same thing again. Go forward. Go into reverse. Sometimes when I push the reverse button, it doesn't want to really reverse. Fix. 1, 2, 3 times and cut. So now we're going to cut right in between those 2 threads. And there you go. That is the first bookmark. My fingers at both ends of it. Done. Okay? So you get the idea? I'm going to keep going and do the rest of these. And then I'll show you what I get all done. Well, YouTubers, I have finished cutting up this Inkle band, and I got 16 6-inch bookmarks out of it. And I usually expect 15 or 16, so that's just about perfect. I also have this Inkle band, which I did last summer, but just had never gotten around to chopping it into chunks and turning it into bookmarks. So far, I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bookmarks out of it, and there's a bunch of it left. There you go. And I've also got this one. This is one I made a couple years ago. I was gonna originally make a pair of suspenders out of it. There was a family that worked at Heritage Hill, and they had a boy about 10 years old, I guess, who was there and could have used a pair of suspenders. I was gonna turn this into him, but then the season ended, so I thought, oh well, I'll do it for him the next year. But they didn't come back and keep volunteering, so I never used this for. So now I might as well. It's a little bit thicker thread. These ones are 10-2 mercerized cotton. This is 8-4 carpet warp, but it's still nice looking. So I'll probably turn this into some bookmarks too. So I'm still at this point. I mark it. I don't think it'll show up on camera, but right there I put a little blue mark from some tailor's chalk. So let's just do one more. Cut that off. Move over a little bit. Another one done. Well, weaving friends, I'm going to end this Inkle Loom weaving video. I've still got a whole bunch of bookmarks that I did not sell at the trade fair down in Oshkosh. That's okay. I did sell 6 bookmarks at $5 each. So $30, which covered the cost of our getting into the event, and a little bit over, but not much. So, and certainly didn't cover the cost of the thread that I put into making these things or the time. But again, that wasn't, I'm not in this as a profit-making operation. It was just a case of, well, I had these things, I might as well try seeing if I can sell a couple. So it worked. I did get this done. Again, here's one of the bookmarks. I think this is the one that I was showing you on the loom at the time. There's another one that I did. This one was an ankle band that I'd had laying around for a while. I think there's one more in here, yeah. This one. Anyways, that's the story of the ankle bands for sale at the Oshkosh Trade Fair. Echoes of the Past Trade Fair is what it's officially called. I'll do another video soon. I've got the shawl just about done. That's on the Ashford loom. So be sure to give me a thumbs up, comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff that everybody on social media video says. And I'll catch you the next time around on this social media platform. Bye-bye.